I remember at one point I used to really think about luck, like how unlucky I am, how lucky I am, that kind of thing. Or today's my lucky day, tomorrow's my unlucky day. And it kind of, over time, started to make, I started to realize that life balances itself out.
We move this conversation to AI. It's a reflection of us as human beings. So a large majority of people are good. So we just need to condition it to be good.
There will always be things that are scary. The things that could go really, really wrong. Yes, things have gone to the extreme in certain areas, but, kind of water finds its level. What scares you the most about AI?
AI is here to create the perfect world, leaving only us as the imperfections. Hey, thanks for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe. It really, really, really supports us and helps us keep going. And we'd love to hear your opinion. Please check something in the comment section if you want to hear our opinions on it. Thanks for watching. Hey, you've got the voice for radio, I'm telling you.
You know what that means? I haven't got the face for TV.
That's not what I meant. To read from that what you were. Harvey did say he screwed this in, so he said check for tightness. It was tight.
This is jiggly, but that's fine, right?
Yeah, because you don't have the socket thing. So I usually give you the mic with the socket thing.
So. That's why it feels a little bit different.
Yeah, a little bit. Sorry.
The jiggle is quite good actually.
Yeah?
It's like
it wasn't me who set it up this time. So Harvey doesn't love you like I do.
So Harvey set this up today?
He helped me, yeah. So he set up the mics when I left.
Good guy.
Harvey, as people will know, is the handsome chap from the previous episode.
Yeah, the one with some great ideas.
Yeah.
That I've not heard yet.
Yeah. I've not edited yet, but great ideas, some questionable ideas. Mm-hmm. But in this world, who doesn't?
Right.
I made a recent discovery quite recently.
Okay.
And it's not even fun. Like, I thought the people wanted humor.
Yeah.
But they don't. They want love.
Really?
The people want love. On my Instagram,
who would have thought?
I posted the quote that I read on Instagram. I didn't even come up with this. I just found it. I read it out loud. I put some passion in it. I'll take credit for the passion.
Right.
I added some soft music. And it got 26 mil views. Mil being Latin for 1,000.
Yeah. It's still very impressive.
I know. It got like 2,700 likes. Hopefully by the time this comes out more. Yeah. It's been weird because my Instagram isn't like that.
Yeah.
So every time I refresh, it just goes boop, boop, another 100 likes. I'm like, whoa.
So what, do you get an individual notification for each like?
No. So I think it switches it off once you hit certain velocity.
Wouldn't know what that is, yeah. No.
I found out recently. So I'm like, I know what it feels like to be a hot girl. But the people want love. Okay. And I've been feeling some stuff lately. Mm-hmm. And we'll get into that in a little bit.
Sure.
But I've been feeling very dissociated from life.
All right. And
one of my favorite all-time movies is Her by Spike Jonze.
All right.
I think it's one of the best films in terms of cinematography. I mentioned how much I hate Wes Anderson and stuff, but I want to read you a quote from that film if I can.
Yeah.
Because I'm a slut for likes.
Okay.
Let me just pull it up here.
You're so artsy.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I hate that part of me, but it is who I am.
You're just dropping these things, but yeah.
Have you seen the film, Her?
No.
Okay. This is a letter he writes, I believe, to his ex-wife.
All right.
I'm sitting here thinking of all the things I wanted to apologize to you for. All the pain we caused each other. Everything I put on you. Everything I needed you to be or needed you to say. I'm sorry for all that. I'll always love you because we grew up together. You helped make me who I am. I just wanted you to know there will be a piece of you in me always, and I'm grateful for that. Whatever someone you become or wherever you are in the world, I'm sending you love. You're my friend to the end. It's his ex-wife.
Yeah.
He's sending that to. And yeah, that whole film is sort of about dissociating and I mean, that was just for likes. Yeah. Let's be honest. I just read that out for likes. But I really do love that film.
Likes?
It's all about likes, for sure. You good?
Yeah, sorry. I'm just getting my laptop.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You're going to...
There's something I wanted to talk to you about as well.
Oh!
Yeah.
Yeah?
I know, yeah. Well, we carry on.
Okay.
Yeah, the real bit's done now, so...
What is it? Is it related to this or?
No, but it's interesting. So okay. Yeah. So anyway, carry on.
No, can we just talk about the fact that it's okay for boys to like rom-coms?
It is okay.
It is. Thank you.
Who said it wasn't okay?
I don't know. I just feel like it's
what kind
not.
of people are you hanging out with?
I don't know. Yeah. Maybe toxic people.
Yeah.
But I do love those films. I not just like rom-coms because that's like comedy. I like romantic films. I just think they're shot nicely. I think they have really good storylines. Especially, it has to have good character development and good like relationship development.
Sure.
The people that's at the start of the film and their relationship needs to evolve. And if by the end of it does, then I'm a happy man. I watched a good film.
Yeah.
That's just in there for me.
I haven't seen, I don't think, any romantic films without the comedy side.
Okay.
Do they have the same kind of thing where it's not all easy? There is struggle.
100%.
There is hardship.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, this film is almost entirely about his divorce and, very relevant in today's time, but he falls in love with an AI voiced by Scarlett Johansson.
Okay.
And it's just a great all-round film. The cinematography is stunning. They use very modern cameras but vintage lenses, and it puts together this like futuristic film look, but it feels almost nostalgic.
Right.
I'm obsessed with that sort of vibe and impression.
I love that.
Yeah. And I wrote an essay on that film for uni. I really, really loved this film.
I'm going to have to watch that.
Please do.
Yeah.
Please watch it with your other half as well.
Her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Spike Jonze, Joaquin Phoenix, and big mustache.
Very good.
Solid mustache.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right. So how's your week been?
Week's been good.
Yeah.
It's been pretty busy.
Yeah, it's been busy.
Had a few offsites with clients.
Yeah.
A lot going on, training new people, just busy at work. And outside of work, a little bit busy too.
Mm-hmm.
Celebrated your brother's wedding.
Yes.
That was so much fun.
That
man.
happened
I had
somehow
such a good time.
in between. Yeah.
It was my sister's birthday recently. I don't have to do much. I have to do that this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Want to.
Yep.
But
of course,
that's about it. How's your week?
It's very exciting. Yeah, it's been good. It's been good. I've noticed something with both of us that we've obviously recently taken on some. I say recently, over the last few months or so, taken on some new team members.
Yeah.
And I've certainly noticed it in you more, and maybe I'm doing it a bit more as well, where we're now pushing them in the way, they'll be watching this or whatever, but pushing them in the sense we now know that they've hit a point where they're very capable.
Yeah.
They're extremely capable actually, but we're unlocking that and saying, actually, you guys run with this project, you run with this task, rather than us needing to kind of steer them around.
Yeah.
A lot.
And when we say stuff like that, it makes them smile,
Yeah.
and that makes me happy.
Mm-hmm.
Our supply chain manager was talking about a few things. To train someone up, somebody's been lending him a hand.
Right.
And I told him, I was like, how's it felt having support? And he goes, it's been great. I've been able to explore these new tools.
Yeah.
And I said, that's the direction I want to push you in. I want you to start engaging more of your mind and less, doing day-to-day work.
Yeah.
And that can be a training mechanism for somebody new.
Mm-hmm.
He got really excited about
Yeah.
that. And I loved seeing that. Like, he was so hungry to learn more. It was very nice to see.
Amazing. I'm just going to check this because someone just tried to call me.
Did they? We're good?
Yeah.
Because I just read my heart and soul out.
That was fantastic. I don't know if this is going to be picked up on there. Yeah.
I'd try it just in case. But
Anyway, there's a lot of topics that we cross over. We tend to dive and dip. But this was one thing that I wanted to read to you. You probably heard it already. It's a Chinese proverb.
Okay.
It's about the horse and the sun.
No.
Does that ring a bell?
No, it doesn't.
Okay,
I
this
love
is
it when
really
you drop
interesting.
shit like this on me. Go for it.
Okay. Well, this is really good. Not my Chinese proverb. I'll just be very clear to the
You're not
audience.
Chinese?
Yeah, not not that I'm aware of. But it was really interesting because it resonated with me. I can't say I've lived life this way, but certainly in recent times, I think there are aspects that I take from it. Anyway,
Let's get into it.
all will make sense there. I'm going to try and say it quite clearly because
Please do.
I did it last time to someone and I didn't quite get it right. So there is a Chinese proverb that goes something like this. A farmer and his son had a beloved stallion who helped the family earn a living. Mm-hmm. One day, the horse ran away and the neighbors exclaimed, "Your horse ran away. What terrible luck." The farmer replied, "Maybe so, maybe not. We'll see." A few days later, the horse returned, leading a few wild horses behind to the farmer's well. The neighbors shouted, "Your horse has returned and brought several horses with him. What great luck." The farmer replied, "Maybe so, maybe not. We'll see." Later that week, the farmer's son was trying to break one of the mares and she threw him to the ground, breaking his leg. The villagers cried, "Wow, your son broke his leg. What terrible luck." What did the farmer reply? "Maybe so, maybe not.
Right.
We'll see." A few weeks later, soldiers from the National Army marched through the town, recruiting all able-bodied boys for the army. They didn't take anyone who was recovering. Sorry, I've said that wrong. They did not take the farmer's son, still recovering from his injury. A friend shouted, "Your boy is spared. What tremendous luck." To which the farmer replied, Maybe so, maybe not. Yeah. We'll see. Anyway, the moral of the story, according to this, is of course that no event in and of itself can truly be judged as good or bad, lucky or unlucky, fortunate or unfortunate, but that only time will tell its story. And this is just really interesting. Again, it's one of those proverbs that people say, "Oh, that's great," but that doesn't that's not reality.
It does, and I know that you live by this.
Yeah.
Can I tell you some stuff that you've told me in the past? I hope you don't mind, but it really fits this in quite nicely.
As long as it's not embarrassing.
No. It's you've mentioned a few things that you've done in your life, like let's say some investments you've made. Can I use that as an example?
Yeah,
because most recently.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
And you were potentially in a position where you might have lost a substantial amount of money, and you were like, you weren't as upset by it as you thought, right? If in the proverb, I'd say, "How unlucky," and you say, "Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't."
Yeah.
And then you kind of refer to other investments you've made that have really done well for you. And so it was all like relatively a balancing act. I know that's not the meaning of the proverb, but everything tends to have...
Life balances itself out.
Exactly, yeah. So you embody that quite well.
Yeah, sure. I think the investment one is it's easy to quantify, right? So you can see that measurement. You lose some, you win some.
Yeah.
Things balance themselves out. So that adds up. But yeah, you start to see this in life. And honestly, I can't say I've lived life this way all the time. I definitely haven't, you know? I've always, I remember at one point, I used to really think about luck. Like, how unlucky I am, how lucky I am, that kind of thing. Or today's my lucky day. Tomorrow's my unlucky day. And it kind of, over time, started to make, I started to realize that life balances itself out.
Right.
Something good will, you'll go through those tough days and you'll go through those good days. When you're in those good days, it means tough days will come in the future.
Right.
But on the same token, when you're through those tough days, just know the good days will also come.
Right.
And it's kind of that continuous balance and understanding that life goes full circle.
Yeah. I really love that specific part at the end that you said. Any event in of itself is not necessarily good or bad. Mm-hmm. I like that. I like that a lot. So
just something I wanted to leave with, because again, I think you do live life like this, whether you're aware or unaware. Yeah. But just something I thought I'd share with you because it's a good reminder.
I don't know. I guess like externally to some extent maybe, but internally I definitely, you do feel like some days the odds are just stacked up against you. I've said this before, but you message somebody and they don't reply, and that's the tipping point, right? You've had a day of like, you try something, it doesn't work. You try something else, it doesn't work. So you're already low, and then you message one person and they don't reply for maybe a day. They always reply, but they don't reply for a day. And so you're just overthinking it. You're like, I'm just this plastic bag drifting through the wind that no one cares about. And then obviously they reply, and that's like the first sign to recovery. And you're just like, oh, that, I overthought what that meant. And then you're like, actually, the stuff I tried last week that didn't work is now starting to show some results.
Yeah, definitely.
Stuff like that. So I like that.
It also, if you look at your own life, right? And we've spoken about this on the podcast, so this isn't fresh thought, but the idea that everything you've done in your life, every little thing you've done, tripping over, stubbing your toe in the door, dropping boiling water on your hand, whatever it is, the good, the bad, everything. Every good decision, every bad decision has led you to this moment right now.
Yes.
And yes, there were painful moments, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But if you were to go back in time and like try and replace any of that, like almost like try and change your DNA a little bit, it would affect everything. Yeah. And it would affect even the good things that happened in your memories.
Yeah, you can't wipe out the bad and hope the good sticks around.
So
we talked about this on a drive down to our clients, where we were bouncing off each other saying, if you could go back to university, what would you do differently? And there was obviously some ideas that you can just throw out in the air. But the main thing was, that compromises the things that we got out of university. Yeah. It compromises the friendships, the relationships, the bonds, and that's not worth it. Yeah. In the end.
Yeah. And I think that's where, the past is so important. It's like history. It's good to learn from it and see, okay, this is go. But you dwell on it too much, and you're sacrificing time right now. Like time where you can actually make a change and so on. So yeah, that's quite
I really like that. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that.
No, you're welcome. Yeah.
Can I bring up? I hate to regurgitate a conversation we've already had, but the cameras are rolling. Can we move this conversation to AI?
AI.
I really enjoyed getting into that
Okay.
and getting into your mindset, because we went everywhere. We went to the good, the bad, the ugly, the pretty. You know, we kind of talked a lot about it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a big conversation at the moment, right?
It is, yeah.
Everyone's chatting about it.
Have you heard Stephen Bartlett did an emergency episode? Yeah.
Yeah, it was... I still haven't seen it. Have you?
No.
Yeah, I will listen to it. Yeah.
I love Mogada, so I'll absolutely listen to it.
Yeah.
But I just thought emergency was a funny use of that.
We'll have to see it, because maybe the trailer was much more emergency than the actual episode. Right. And in the episode
it's interesting to watch a shift from being a massive optimist to what sounded like from the trailer. Again, maybe he's just using this for views, like we do. We can't judge him for that. But using the pessimistic side, because from what I remember, the first episode he talks about AI and he was quite optimistic. He says that it's a reflection of us as human beings. So a large majority of people are good. So we just need to condition it to be good.
Yeah.
And he uses like an example of the Instagram algorithm, how it misunderstood him. He loves the bass. And so it showed him like, I can't remember, he describes a girl playing the bass. And then he goes, it just kept showing me girls that looked like her. But I wanted to see the bass. And so it was just, the more AI starts to understand what we need from it, maybe that's more leaning on machine learning, but the more it understands of us, the more we need to be clearer about good intentions, so that good comes out of it. Does any of AI scare you?
Of course, yeah. I think something must be wrong with you, to put it nicely, if you're not in some way afraid. Yeah. And I think that's of most technologies. Obviously, there's got to be great optimism, hope for the future, all of that. But also, technology should scare you because it's the unknown. It's a world we don't know. Yeah. And if you're not, you could be opening yourself up to something quite scary. Yeah. And different. Yeah.
This is just the first time I see something manifesting out of nothing. Right. We're talking about generative AI, and a video being manifested from nothing. Yeah. I think we saw that in the world of like digital technology, where websites would manifest out of nothing. I have to put just effort in and something comes out of it. And that's where it like scares me. I immediately think of like, the horror films of like algae growing into a superpower and dominating human beings. I'm like, this might be it, dude. This could be the thing.
Yeah. The funniest thing I find about AI is this isn't like, oh my God, oh my word, it's happening right now. Like, AI has come out of nowhere. Like, we have been predicting this for hundreds of years, like that robots or machines, prophesizing that where things are going, that this is going to happen. I mean, the Terminator movies are a clear example of exactly the way we're going, and it seems like that kind of that process is happening. But yet we knew it was happening. We knew we were heading in that direction, and we've allowed things to continue that way. Yeah, good, bad, but it's heading that way. What scares you the most about AI?
The lack of regulation. So the thing that really bothers me is the people developing this are far, far more intelligent than the people who are regulating it. Okay. And that presents a huge problem. And I think we've seen that with the internet in the past. Mark Zuckerberg and the chap from TikTok have all stood before Congress, and Congress have gone, connect to my Wi-Fi and connect. And these guys are developing algorithms or, things that can recreate you as a human being saying some horrific stuff or saying some wonderful stuff that has no involvement of you. Okay. Enough photographs of your face and enough samples of your voice, they could have you confessing to a murder that you never did. And when we think about things like anything AI should be embedded into the metadata, the thing that scares me is these regulators don't know what metadata even is. And that's what scares me.
Okay, so going back to an earlier part of the episode that we were just talking, we were just in, we look at history to learn from it, not to dwell on it, right? And there was a photo, and hopefully we can put this onto the episode, of back in like the 1800s, early 1900s, when electricity was becoming very, very common. You had a lot of electric cables going through cities and so on. And this photo that was put in some newspaper was showing how dangerous electricity would be to humanity.
Yeah.
And it essentially was like showing, hopefully we can get it on here, but you can see that people stuck within the electric cables, being electrocuted, all this crazy stuff happening, it looking like a very dystopian world.
Yeah.
The same kind of stuff happens every time any new game-changing technology comes around. Yeah. There's certain moments within history where things have happened. Obviously, the internet was an enormous one. Mobile communication was also a very large one. The telephone. There will always be things that are scary. The things that could go really, really wrong. Mm-hmm. With the internet, everyone was talking about everything. Everyone's going to be doing drugs. Kids are going to be selling drugs to each other on the internet. Yes, they do.
They do.
But
I've heard.
The world isn't as scary as it was made out to be, right?
Yeah.
We have still carried on. We're all still going. Yes, things have gone to the extreme in certain areas, but kind of water finds its level. Yeah. And things go on. And I'm optimistic because all the things you stress about AI and concerns about AI, I'm optimistic that water will find its level. Yeah. And things will go through. So if we were to take your idea of you can confess to a murder and someone would confess to a murder on your behalf, like I'm confident that technology will come out to prevent that from being so obvious, kind of putting you in trouble. People will know that that's AI through some kind of verification. You've not authorized it. That wasn't your actual, there'll be certain things that will come in place. I'm optimistic that
I like that.
We're finding the worst, and that's good. You've got to poke holes. But things sort themselves out in that respect. Yeah,
I just think, and I wonder if anyone else feels this way. But maybe, have you ever wondered if we feel too invincible as a species? I thought that around the pandemic, and we're talking at the height. Okay, mm-hmm. In hindsight, of course, I look like an idiot, but at the beginning of the pandemic, it was this virus that was spreading through all humans, and we didn't know who it was killing. Mm-hmm. So for a very short period of time, he coughs as he talks about the pandemic. But throughout this period of time, I always had this thing of, when bird flu was kicking around. Was that? I feel like bird flu was when I was in primary school, or am I?
Yeah, it was.
There was a few different mini pandemics, like tiny little outbreaks, should we call them? And this is the first thing that affected humanity at a global level. Yeah. And just for a short period of time, I realized, I questioned the mortality of our species.
What, in primary school?
No. During the start of the pandemic.
Okay.
When this thing was like, it's in China, it will never reach another country. And then it reached another country. And then it reached the entire world and the World Health Organization, and everybody started to get involved. Then you started to hearing messages over the tannoy that kind of made you feel like you're in a video game, a dystopian video game. So I really started to think we thought we were bulletproof, right? We currently, I would argue, are smarter than any animals on land because we've occupied land and there's nothing any other animal can sort of do about it. I say that in the UK. I feel like in Australia, spiders and snakes have something to say about that. Yeah. But then I started to question, okay, there is something greater than us that could technically destroy us as a species. And so I would like to think you're absolutely right, and I think there's a 99.99999 infinite 9% chance that you are right. But since the pandemic, I've always thought there is a 0.00001% that the anarchy that this will cause before the water reaches its level, I didn't think it was a possibility. Now I'm like, it could.
But maybe that is water reaching its level.
It's time for us humans to go, or
what makes us human? And this sounds a bit like evil villain style, but just hear me out.
Okay.
Why do we as humans think that we should be invincible forever?
Right.
The Neanderthals were around before us.
Yeah.
And they died out, and we carried on, as Homo sapiens. Yeah. Why, as Homo sapiens, do we think, yes, now we've perfected species? Yeah. There is no more evolution. There is no more perfection. Why? Where's that come from? Billions of years of evolution, and now suddenly we think we are the finished object.
No, I agree with you. That's what made me think something had to kill off the dinosaurs, all of that stuff. And then I'm like, for dumb reasons, again, I understand in hindsight I sound stupid, but at the time I was like, what if this is the thing that kills us off? Mm-hmm. What if the next species that dominates Earth is reading us, or neural linking because they're from the future, stories about us humans and how dumb we were that we let a little virus take over us.
Yeah.
And so now it's, you look at films like iRobot, like Tron, and you're like, AI is here to create the perfect world, leaving only us as the imperfections.
Yeah.
Right?
So interesting. Yeah. And we were talking about that thing, right? Like, we've had billions of years of organic evolution.
Yeah.
And there was someone who prophesized that, this was back in the 60s, that humanity is now turning from organic evolution into inorganic machine evolution, where we will continue to become part of the machines. Yeah. So that's starting to wear your Apple Watch, and then your Apple Vision Pro or whatever's just come out. And then things will slowly become integrated with Neuralink and all of that, and will become a Homo sapien hybrid or whatever it is. Yeah. _ iPhone or whatever. And it will become this new species.
Yeah.
And that will develop, and maybe then even the human part keeps going, because that is the imperfection.
Yeah. Well, that's natural evolution. If you look at other things, this is going to be barbaric what I'm about to compare, but if you look at cars started off as petrol, then they were hybrid, and then they're fully electrified.
Yeah.
Humans deeply integrated to technology.
Yeah.
But we got to wrap up in a little bit, so I don't want to keep this all very dystopian. We also discussed some of the pros.
Yep.
You can put a room full of the brilliantest of minds to try and reverse, global warming or minimize the effects, or you can upload all of that information onto some sort of infrastructure and have an AI, and they do this in Formula One, have an algorithm run all the calculations for you, generate all the possible scenarios. They do this in Formula One where they run simulations of every possible scenario of if it rains, if somebody crashes, if they need to pit, or if they run out of fuel, or if whatever may happen. They run scenarios before the race. So they're half prepared for any kind of scenario.
It's interesting. You said a really funny thing the other day, as you always do.
What did I say?
And I told someone this.
Yeah.
So essentially, you were like, you see yourself as being Will Smith of the iRobot.
Yeah.
The last guy who just doesn't like any machines, doesn't like any robots. Is very old school. Wants his fuel powered car, like none of this old school stuff. He'll just keep going on like that, shooting robots left, right, and center whenever they get near him, near you. And then they'll release the latest Robo X that will be able to do your laundry. Yes. And that's what gets you. And that's where you get your briefcase of money out and say,
it's time.
Give me that.
Yeah.
And that's your weak spot.
I'm not willing to let robots take over this world unless it means I don't have to do laundry. Man, I hate laundry so much.
I couldn't stop laughing at that point. I was like, that was what took it. That's where you just gave in.
Yeah. Honestly, I'll cook, I'll clean. I'm a domestic.
The future humans were relying on you to be resistant, and then you just...
I know. Like, everybody is being held hostage by a robot, and they're like, Sam will save us. And I'm just there putting my car in laundry, Yeah, you're like freshly ironed. Come on, man. Like, there's no better feeling than freshly laundered sheets. Like, you get ready in the morning and you put on your clothes and it smells like laundry detergent. I love that feeling. I hate the work I have to put in to get that. I can't stand it.
Question.
Go ahead.
AI is going to have to be programmed and it's going to have to be fed things, right? So politically, it's going to have a certain bias.
Okay.
Right? Now, the thing with humans is we have bias. Of course we do.
Yeah.
But we're not programmed by one person. Yes, you can say the media programs us, but there's different types of media, and we have diversity in our thoughts and our bias as to where we are on the shoe.
It can evolve.
Exactly. It evolves. It's fed and it comes from within, I assume. There is obviously some external things, right? And we have that. We're somewhere on that shoehorn of political bias somewhere. Thing with AI is once it's programmed by whoever decides which way it's going, maybe it's going to be a woke AI, maybe somewhere along those, or wherever it is in the political spectrum, we lose diversity in the bias. And some may say, well, you don't need it because it's perfect, but it is programmed with some bias.
I would argue it's not perfect. It's neutral.
Right.
Who's to say that's perfect?
But who determines neutral?
I think it has to be. If you look at all of the, Lambda from Google and all the AI's technologies coming up, ChatGPT, You can get it to say stuff. We discussed this. But if you ask it, what's the greatest religion? What political party do you support? It will duck and avoid those questions. There's ethical programmers who directly inject that in. So my opinion is that I don't think it's going to be programmed to be left-leaning and stay that way, or programmed to be right-leaning or liberal or whatever. I think it's going to be programmed as neutral as possible.
But is neutral different depending on who you ask? Like what you think is neutral might be different from what I think is neutral.
Yeah.
You know, what I think is neutral, you may say is, wow, that's so much on the extreme.
Yeah.
These are the
That scares me.
Political stuff is a little bit difficult for me. There's a lot of
I would imagine though that they can create a scenario where we don't need, like, a lot of people argue our political system's kind of outdated. The monarchy for sure is outdated. You can love them, you can hate them, but you can't really disagree that it's quite a dated system.
Yeah.
It's old. It doesn't make sense. Again, be a supporter if you want. I support you supporting them. But it's just old.
Yeah.
It's just something that hasn't evolved over a long period of time. Same thing with, a lot of people say, and these typically sound more rational to me than most others, about the American political system. It's really hard to have a popularity contest where one person wins and they rule all of that. It doesn't necessarily make sense, and an overhaul of that might be a good thing. And that might be task number 1 of the AI.
Task number 2, we need it to fix the NHS first. Then task just NHS, AI, just sort this stuff out.
It could do. It could solve that problem you and I were talking about. The NHS needs to be incentivized to do better. And it could find a way to do it. Yeah. You and I couldn't.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, I couldn't.
Yeah, I couldn't. There we go. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. You got to dart off.
Yes,
so
I
let's wrap it up.
Yeah. So thank you for listening to episode. Sam, you're gonna have to help me out here.
Season 2, episode
8 of season 2. It's been great having you here on the Feel Good Inc. podcast, if we're still calling that. Yeah.
I am. Yeah. I'm doing the gorillas every time.
Okay. So there we go. But yeah, please don't forget to subscribe, like, do what you can do, and comment if you're watching this on YouTube or any other social media platform. And don't forget to tell us what you want to hear about next. Did you enjoy this episode? Did you not? And what do you think about AI coming next? Cheers.
Cool.
All right.